You got everything printed out?
Yes. Hello. Matthew was just checking if I had everything printed out.
Invention idea.
Oh.
Could one of you young tinkers get to I think maybe a device that either mounted on Robbie's bicep or my ankle that went approximately 7 minutes before the show is scheduled to begin, adding increasing pressure until we're actually sitting here. Because both of us, we knew it was approaching, but we miscalculated
I did not
the time it would take. Well, I did.
I was here at 1 minute to 1.
Do you know how remarkable it was that I was the one that was late and Robbie
so
was the one that was prepared?
I would like everyone to mark on their calendars this great day in history when Robbie was at a meeting before Matthew was.
All right, so scratch the need for Robbie to have this device. This device is just for me so that I'm never late again. Guys, I don't like being late.
You know what it's called?
What is it
it's
called?
It's already been invented.
What's it called?
It's called a wristwatch.
No, I want something that actually squeezes my leg in a way that is both comforting but also authoritative. Like, dude, get in there. I love you. I value you, but go do your show. The children are waiting, and not just children, but also Jennifer and Principal Schaefer's mom and maybe my dude Grant. I mean, so many people are there demanding, hey, we missed you guys. Some of you guys were off doing things yesterday.
Yes, it sounds like Simon and Everett were maybe at their
I missed those guys.
Their cabin.
Ooh.
And somebody else, I think the E's were taking a hike.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I got a text from the E's dad saying, can you please tell me what the theme of the week is? E is wondering. So I don't know which E, but I texted back and I said, well, my friend, the theme of the week is inventions. And apparently that information was welcome, and maybe it was considered, where did my co-host go? I don't know. Maybe I could invent myself a new one. If we could come up with a new co-host for this show, what would we do to improve upon the original model? Nothing.
Nothing.
Because my co-host is already the ideal co-host. This is Robbie, you guys. My name is Matthew Swanson. I am an author. Robbie's an illustrator. Robbie, what are you going to show?
Slim was asking if we make stickers. Are these the stickers of which you are referring, Slim?
We've sent Slim so many. Have we sent Slim things in the mail?
I think we have. Slim some stickers.
So, Slim, the next time there's occasion to send you something, we will put in some stickers.
I put some stickers in for you already.
Oh, so she was just asking if we had made them?
Yes.
Oh, I see. Of course we did.
Those are ones that
we make lots of things.
I illustrated, and I really like them. I like how they turned out.
So many things. I think we need to get to it because there's a lot to cover today.
Where's our agenda?
Who is she
I
who
handed
prints?
it to you.
No,
maybe it's up top.
No. The agenda was not handed to me. I have not touched any papers. Here's the story. Pretty excited about that. All right. Wonder Undercover. The week of invention continues. In use. May 26, 2020. Introductions. We did that already, even unprompted. We knew what was going on. We'd been at this for a while, you guys. Water.
Oh man,
I didn't have time.
I don't like when water's like top of the agenda.
No, we got to get the water going.
Cheers,
the water
Prost.
energizes us. It fills our cells with the necessary hydration to do its work. It's molecular reproduction. It's photosynthesis. Do we photosynthesize? We don't. We are not plants.
We are not plants.
I wish we were.
I wish we were. It would be great if we could photosynthesize, because then I would just lie out in the sun and get my energy.
This has more water in it than the other one. My face is damp. Guys, we missed you. It was.
Guess what, E? You did not miss Benji McBean's Amazing Machines because we couldn't find the book.
Couldn't find a copy of it.
We were not prepared yesterday.
You did miss the Superhero Squad Flips Out, which is perhaps an even more sad thing to miss. This is our early work for Marvel/Disney Corporation. Who knew? Who knew that I wrote stories about Iron Man and Ms. Marvel?
That's not Iron Man. That's Wolverine. Just so you
Wolverine.
know.
Well, I did. Iron Man was in here too. I just pointed to the wrong superhero while describing my. All right, let's move on. Theme song.
Right.
Theme song. All caps! Exclamation point.
Now,
let's
which
go
theme
old
song?
school.
We
Old
have
school.
so many.
Straightforward. Straight
All
up.
right.
Old times. Robbie and Matthew standing on an even plank on other side of a teeter-totter, balancing perfectly.
The Robbie and Matthew Show.
That's what we got. That makes me feel good. Now I feel like the show has begun.
Jolly.
What does this say? What does that say?
Robbie lists 5 things that Matthew has invented.
Go for it. 1, 2, 3.
A fingernail magnet.
Oh.
Did you invent that, or did the children invent that?
But
you encouraged it, which is just as bad.
We took a bunch of fingernail clippings and put them on a piece of cardboard and covered it over with Scotch tape and put a magnet strip on the back so that Robbie has a magnet with all of the children's DNA in it. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that a lovely thought?
That's horrible, and I just did a silent burp that Matthew didn't notice because he was too busy talking.
Did Matthew not notice it, or is he just politer than you are and doesn't draw attention to his partner's silent burps? All right.
We should say hi to Shakti.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
I think that's how you say your name.
Well, if not, hello to you whose name we're not quite pronouncing correctly.
Or even if it's your name. A lot of times this is parents' names.
True.
That are the YouTube account holders.
Okay.
But anyway,
all right,
hi.
Please.
Yes, we're saying hi. Sorry.
5 things that Matthew's invented.
Matthew has also invented...
All right, I'm going to tell you 5 things that Robbie has invented.
Okay.
Robbie invented the visual depiction of the character Moxie McCoy. Before she did that, Moxie McCoy did not exist visually. I didn't describe Moxie. You came up with that. You came up with the gap in her teeth. You came up with the way her hair looks. The way that people think of Moxie came out of you. You invented
I didn't know these things counted
new
as inventions.
strategy for collecting water in Alaska.
I did.
We had previously driven up the beach a long way, filled up a bucket from a stream of water falling from the bluff, and held the bucket, and it was very frustrating. It took a long time. Robbie invented a way to use a gutter system to feed a rain barrel with the rain that goes off our roof. We now harvest our own rainwater, unless it doesn't rain for 3 months, which happened
is what
last
I did
year.
last
But
summer.
you did invent a way to do that.
Yes.
Okay. You have invented various words.
I invented a lock for Jasper's little tent.
Correct. Although we would never lock our child in his tent, so I don't know what you're talking about. Robbie invented in her mind a lock.
That's right.
So that we could keep our child in his tent, if such a thing were acceptable.
Needed
so I guess what I'm trying to say is, you guys, there's lots of different ways to think about what it means to invent things. So as you're doing your research this week, take a broad brush approach.
I was not taking a broad brush when I was
that's-
thinking of you inventing
But
things.
you know what?
Was I demonstrating your point?
You did a great job. I appreciate
thanks.
it. What does that say?
Sad story about yesterday's pie.
So you guys, yesterday Robbie needed to do some drawings in the afternoon, so I decided to make a meal, decided to make dessert for the meal. So I took one of our Pillsbury pie crusts out of the fridge and I formed it into the pan and I made scalloped edges.
You did a very good job.
I poked the holes in the bottom. I was so proud of myself. I made a delicious pie. But here's the thing, you guys. When you're making a lemon meringue pie, you have to put the pie crust in all by itself at 450 for 15 minutes so it gets crispy-like. Mine
it gets baked,
mine
really.
was doughy and raw, and Robbie really tried to have a good attitude, but it clearly disappointed the heck out of her, in spite of the fact that I filled it with delight.
It was a delicious... I ate all the filling. I just didn't eat the crust.
No, the crust didn't even please me.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's too bad when you do like 90% of the things you need to do for something, but the last 10% creates 50% misery for Robbie. I did make 2 racks of ribs, a big pot of collard greens, and a pan of cornbread, though.
Yes,
so,
it was a good holiday weekend.
but it didn't quite, that was a sad, the pie part was
I tried to have
bit,
such a good
No,
attitude.
you did. And I'm just coming clean about the fact that I, too, was disappointed in my pie crust. What does that say?
Wisdom from Jennifer about the importance of citing your sources.
Okay, so Jennifer makes a good point. Jennifer has become our unofficial show advisor, or maybe our official show advisor, on all things related to scholarship, language, and saying things correctly. Like, Jennifer will not let me say internecine when I mean something else, like I did the other day.
Well, I wouldn't let you say it either.
Jennifer has no problem with you taking off my hot flannel shirt when it's too warm in the studio.
I think everyone has a problem with that.
she has no problem with that.
Except, guess what shirt you're wearing underneath?
Let's talk about it, dudes.
Let's talk about it.
All right, dude, Grant, want to just shoot me a little something, and we'll talk about dudeness? So Jennifer wrote me an email and said, it would be a great idea for you to talk to the kids, to the watchers, the viewers, to Robbie, when you do research and you share research, it's very important to cite your sources. C-I-T-E. It's a citation. It means I got this information from this place. The reason why, increasingly in the world, there's a lot of stuff up on the internet, especially.
That people just make up.
You can just put stuff on the internet if you want to.
You can write whatever you want up there.
So reading it by itself is not enough to know that it's true.
Yes.
So there are different types of resources online that are more or less reputable, meaning you can trust the information. And one of the things that you guys have to really work on as you get older is figuring out what information you can trust and which you have to look at with skepticism.
So, for example, when Matthew writes a blog post that makes all kinds of mendacious claims...
Lies. Yes.
About...
Robbie.
Me.
Yeah. Don't believe them.
He's not a reliable source.
If I say that
I'm
Robbie...
also not really a reliable source about me either.
I want to know, though. I want to know for sure that the thing about pandas sleeping 20 hours a day and pooping 150 times a day is true.
No, not pandas. Koalas.
Koalas. See? Look, I was trying to spread misinformation on the internet.
You know what's interesting, though?
What?
Well, I believe that information came from 2 different places.
Oh.
Simultaneously.
Well, the point is, I want someone to validate it. To validate something is to prove that it's right by finding more than one source. Or yes, go ahead.
But here's the thing.
What?
That's what my point was going to be.
Oh.
Was that I think 2 different people gave us those facts.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So it came from 2 different sources. However, a lot of times because the internet is the way that it is, if you trace those sources back, they actually all go back to the same source.
So, a new requirement. When you guys send your research this week...
Gosh, you guys,
When you send your research this week, tell us where you got it, okay? Cite your source so that we can also talk about the sources of information, okay? This was something that Jennifer requested because Jennifer is a former university professor and she cares about these things, guys, because she cares about you.
She's cracking the whip on you guys.
She is trying to help you guys understand the importance of getting trusted information and sharing trusted information. We want to make sure the things that happen on the show are true and the things that you believe are true, okay?
Or that if we don't think they're necessarily maybe not true, we're not going to say they're not true, but we'll say this is suspicious.
We're just trying to introduce the topic, the idea of citation to you here at this critical moment in your lives, all right?
Oh my gosh, we are flashing back and forth from pink to yellow, pink to yellow, pink to yellow.
I like it.
And I don't know why.
Don't draw attention to it. Nobody notices but you. Okay, so what does that say?
Reminder to gather materials for envelope making tutorial.
We're not going to do the envelope making tutorial today because there's just not time. There's too much stuff. Okay, stop. Come on. You had access to the agenda. You could have read the agenda. I sent it to you an hour and a half ago. You guys need to gather pages from magazines or whole magazines that have pictures. So not magazines without pictures, but magazines with interesting full-color photography. And tomorrow, at this time, Robbie is going to teach you how to turn those pages of magazines into beautiful envelopes.
If you also have a letter that you could write in the meantime,
yes, maybe,
that would be helpful because you need the letter to put the envelope around.
Maybe today you could write
Matthew a letter.
Me a letter, and then Robbie will teach you how to put in an envelope tomorrow. Okay?
Here we go.
More homework. Make sure that the facts that you cite in your letter come from reputable sources.
Yes.
Or just tell lots of lies and be like at the bottom, dude, this is all lies.
These are all lies.
I'm a professional liar. I make up stories about people that don't exist.
Yeah.
So I got no problem with that.
You know what's funny? At the beginning of all of these books, it says any relation to actual people
is completely coincidental or accidental,
because they don't want you to think that you're making lies up about somebody.
Correct. Fiction is very important. You have to make sure that people know that you are telling fiction when you tell fiction. So all right,
wait, this book doesn't have it.
Well, all right, we will look for such disclaimers. Some books have that. Matthew reads his story
about an inventor named James.
Okay, and then Robbie sketches with reckless abandon. That is it for the agenda today. But I know that this part of our lives takes a little doing. So
it does.
We are going to. I'm going to start reading the story because I know sometimes you like to absorb it. Have you read the story?
I haven't read the story.
Okay.
I have something up on my tablet that I wanted to show you guys.
Sure, go for it. No, go for it.
Okay. Yeah. So in the back of our books,
Cookie Chronicles, Volume 2. We like to put in a little...
in the back of all of our books, not just Cookie Chronicles.
Yeah, show them this
one. But we have, like, a little bio. It tells a little bit about us or where we got the idea for the books. It has pictures of the kids in it.
And because Robbie is an illustrator and a designer, instead of just having words about us, she creates little vignettes. A vignette is like a little sketch, a little story within a story. Can you show them this one, Robbie?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm working on the...
about the author and illustrator page.
About the author and illustrator page for
Cookie Chronicles Volume 2.
My gosh, what is wrong with me?
Dude,
I am so
that's
sorry.
Why there's 2 of us. All right. So look. So
basically what I have here... Oops, I gotta go down here. Mm-hmm. I set up the page. I have all of the text that I need to write in a box. And then I have to move the little boxes around. If you look at...
You gonna show them the finished one?
I'll show you the other one. So this is
fun.
Basically what it looks like, with
I
the
love
voice
these
bubbles and the little sketches.
Can you zoom in so they can see us dancing? Look
That's kind of my favorite, yeah.
All right. So the conceit means the sort of joke or the idea. behind
like this
this
one
bio.
Of us dancing
oh my
the
gosh,
best.
look at our booties. We are shaking those booties. The conceit here is that Robbie and I are trying to entertain the people who are reading our book, and that we think that we're too boring, so we have to dance. So that's what was going on. And then Robbie's like, hey, Matthew, I'll tell you how it's done, and starts saying all sorts of interesting things about herself. Let's look at the one with you being a bat. Robbie starts bragging about being nocturnal and staying up all night and being really good at sleeping when the daytime comes.
Yes.
So, oh my gosh, these are so fun. I love it.
Oh, yay, thank you.
I love it.
So, I just wanted to show you guys that I do a little sketch like that first, and I have a layer that is the words.
Oh, right.
Right?
Oh, cool.
So there you can see what the words like. But this is what the words started out looking like.
Can I compliment you?
Oh, mm-hmm.
I think you've taken the bios to a new level. I think these are better than the ones.
Well, this one was so full of
it was
short little.
right.
It was full of short little speech bubbles.
It was written in a good way for what you need to do.
Yeah.
Right.
So so to show you how I do this, basically I have. This is just a file.
That's terrifying.
All of Matthew's heads in a bunch of different expressions and positions.
I got to tell you, this was a fun day. I stood up against our red door, and Robbie's like, "Now do this. Now do this.
Now look like you're a little scared. Now look like you're scared from something coming up behind you."
Face got tired.
Yeah. So there's so I have all these little heads, and then there's mine. So I have, but my problem is I got a haircut at a certain point, so I have to stick with these heads. And when my hair was short, I couldn't take any more pictures. So once this is over, I'm going to have my hair cut again because I'm missing a lot of facial expressions.
Right.
So anyway, so there you go. That's just a little bit of interest
glimpse into Robbie's present reality.
Process. Yeah, that's what I'm working on.
So
now.
Am I guessing that at the bottom here, there's going to be three drawings of me?
There's going to be 3 drawings of Matthew doing
that are parallel to the 3 drawings of you. Nice.
And these little rectangles are supposed to represent Matthew's 46 harmonicas, which I'm not going to draw.
No.
Because I'm just going to tell our editor, there's going to be 46 harmonicas here. This is vaguely what the space that they're going to take up.
You don't want to spend time doing something that you might not have to do. If our editor says, I don't really care for the harmonica idea, and Robbie had spent time drawing 46 harmonicas.
I would be so mad.
So, yeah.
Especially when it's something that takes a long time.
That's the whole purpose of a sketch, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. That's a little process information. Now I'm supposed to draw something, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Should I read the story while you're getting set up?
Yes.
Okay. Guys, this is called Inventing the Endless Sunset. James' favorite time was that moment in the early afternoon when the sun is low and the shadows are long and the light is the color of honey. James loved how the light looked as it hit the water in the fountain in the park. In that moment, James felt magical and happy. But that moment passed really quickly, and James felt regular again. He wanted to live in that afternoon light so that he could be magical always. He went out to his garage and rooted through the piles of wood and scraps of metal and boxes of bolts, and started to build. He invented a machine that would hold the sun in place, but the sun burned it up in half a second. So he invented a giant light bulb that would look like the sun, but it turned out there wasn't a giant outlet to plug it into. So he invented a car that would move at the speed of the spinning planet, so that wherever James was, it would always be late afternoon, and the shadows would always be long, and the light would always be the color of honey. The invention worked. James zoomed along in a happy blur, feeling constantly magical. But an hour later, he began to feel strange. Where's the nighttime, he wondered. Where are the crickets and moonbeams? A few hours after that, James felt even stranger. Where is the sunrise? Where are the morning birds? He stopped the car and sat by the side of the road. Before long, the golden light faded. Before long, it was perfect night. Before long, James realized that getting what you want doesn't mean wanting what you get.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
That was lovely. That had such a beautiful start.
Yeah. Uh-oh. That makes it sound like you didn't like where it went from there.
No, it got sort of sad, didn't it?
Well, no. I think what James realized is that he always thought he wanted to have the golden light always. Mm-hmm. But as soon as he got that, he realized that the golden light was less special if you get it in big heaping doses. It's special when you get it 5 minutes a day.
Ah.
All right? So I think James just has a perspective shift at the end, and he realizes that when you have all of that golden light, you don't get the nighttime and you don't get the morning, and that things are made special because of the cycles of life.
Is this some sort of life lesson?
Heck yeah, it is. Every book is a life lesson, you guys. Some of them are more or less hidden and submerged in silliness and potty humor, but every book is about life. Every book is about learning how to live better, to understand more deeply, to connect with your fellow humans.
Now,
yeah.
Was there talk about James being something that's not a person?
There were all sorts of ideas offered by our friends that got jettisoned when I started writing this story, and it took on a certain shape. So the idea of this character being named James did come from one of our readers, but I'm afraid everything else came out of my head.
Well, what was the...
Slim wanted there to be a pencil and pen named Jack, and somewhere else, someone else. Kato had talked about like the spaghetti pirate or something like that. This story wanted to be sort of an earnest, sweet, beautiful story. And so some of those more eccentric elements didn't fit. So although I appreciate you guys sending them, you inspired me to go a different direction. So why are you disappointed? I thought maybe you could create a beautiful illustration.
I have no direction on what I'm supposed to have Jim look like.
Now, why would you ever expect anything otherwise from me?
No, that's true.
Yes.
Well, because I was expecting that all of these other folks who usually give you ideas about who the protagonist is and who the antagonist is.
If you want to draw a fork and knife, you can. They just don't appear in this story. And the spaghetti pirate doesn't appear in this story. All right? Would you like me to read it again?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a little bit sad about this development.
What development is that? The fact that there's not wacky elements for you to illustrate?
Yeah.
You know, you
guys...
This
earnest story.
Yeah. I thought you would like the opportunity to draw something beautiful. Like a beautiful little moment.
Where did you get that idea?
That sometimes you draw really beautiful little landscapey vignettes. And I thought you would like that. You are someone who enjoys this particular type of sun situation. I put the fountain in at the end so that you could draw the fountain, because I figured you'd like that. Look how grumpy Robbie is. Robbie is not necessarily accepting the offer in this moment, which is what you do when you collaborate with somebody and they give you something to work with.
I like that you had some idea of what I like to draw, and it was totally wrong.
I guess what
you had a hope of what I was going to draw.
Yeah. I think, you know what's happening right now, and this is a really important thing to point out, you guys, is that sometimes you can be defeated by your expectations.
Yes.
Robbie expected a certain type of story and got something else. So rather than
I feel like my expectations were based on historical
Absolutely.
truth. Yes.
Expectations often are based on legitimate reasons to expect that, but one of the great secrets to life is being flexible, and when things don't turn out the way you think they will, to be like, well, this is the orange on my plate. I'm going to eat this orange instead of that orange that I expected.
But
yes,
if somebody puts a prickly squash on your plate, don't feel like you have to eat it.
I do not accept your comparison of this story to a prickly squash. This is a lovely little meditation on transience.
Start all over again. Yes. I can't even remember what this is about.
And it's quite possible that the takeaway from this exercise is that Robbie will not illustrate this story.
Yes.
Let me tell. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, as a working illustrator, you also have to know what types of illustrations are illustrations that you can do and are worth you doing, and what types of illustrations are not worth you doing.
And every once in a while...
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I write a lot more stories than Robbie ends up illustrating. And every once in a while I write one, and Robbie just doesn't feel it. And if that happens, I don't say, oh, Robbie, you're the worst. Rah! I say, okay, I have so many other stories, I'll let you do one of those instead. Because if we're going to collaborate in something, we both have to love it, and we both have to feel connected to it. One time, you guys, we actually sold a picture book to our publisher, Aaron, and we were going to make this book, and we met on this book, and I did several drafts of this book, and at a certain point, Robbie said...
Was I the reason why that one didn't fly?
Yeah. At a certain point, Robbie was like, I don't know how to illustrate this book. This doesn't work for me.
You know why?
Why?
Because it was a very earnest, sentimental book.
Interesting. Well, so is Everywhere Wonder, though. So I don't buy that you can't do that kind of work. I think at that point, Robbie just didn't feel connected to it or didn't feel ready for it. I think we might do that book at some point. But that book turned into the Alaska book, right? We pivoted.
Yes.
We came up with something different. So Here's my offer to you now.
All right, yes.
Would you like to create an illustration of something different? Would you like to use some of the ideas that our friends offered yesterday and do an illustration of like a fork and a spoon holding hands, or a fork and a spoon having a duel?
Was it a fork and a spoon? I thought.
Or a fork and a knife. It was two utensils.
There were lots of interesting things that were suggested, like the knight and the king and the pen and the... I can't remember what any of them were, though.
Boy, see, Robbie has been longing for something since yesterday.
Something fun.
How about this? Why don't you draw what you feel like? Why don't you do a sketch of what you would like to draw?
No, read the story again.
No, this doesn't have to be a challenge. I think that the thing that we can do right here is talk about artistic flexibility.
Yes.
Right? I wrote a story. Robbie's not really feeling it. Instead of making Robbie like draw something she isn't feeling, what do you feel like drawing? That's what I would say. We have 3 minutes left. Do you want to do a quick sketch of something that does light your heart up?
There was some lasagna thing.
There
were a whole bunch of funny
I went through and I pulled out all the things.
Yeah.
But I was feeling earnest. So I knew, because I've been writing these bizarre stories.
Yeah.
Where lots of disparate elements come together.
I'm sorry. I should maybe listen to your story again and have a better attitude.
No, this doesn't have to be about attitude. I feel like I've been writing these very disjointed stories because I've been trying to put all these elements together. And this time I had a story that I kind of liked the quietness of it and the arc of it. So I like this story whether or not Robbie wants to illustrate it. That's another thing. Her not feeling connected to it artistically doesn't in any way take away my enjoyment of the story. Yeah.
Here's the thing.
What?
I will read your story again
in
the privacy of my own thoughts.
Okay.
And I will come up with an illustration
right.
that I will show you guys tomorrow to see if it fits the bill.
Sometimes you have to do your creative work privately, especially if your expectations are swept out from under you like a rug. It's very hard to regroup all of a sudden.
Also, I think it's just harder for me. Like, my illustration style is less earnest and lovely.
Right.
And that makes me a little tied up in knots, and I don't really know what to do. So I have to think about it. Some things I can't just do on the fly, guys. If I'm just drawing a koala, I can do that kind of on the fly.
Yeah.
But if I am trying to figure out what that story was actually about and
what this sort of beautiful vignette of this light coming in is all about.
Lasagna Lord. Thank you, Kato. That would have been fun to draw. Maybe I'll draw Lasagna Lord and something pretty.
I refuse to feel deflated or punctured by Robbie's utter rejection of my narrative because I like it and I think it has value in the world. And I recognize that this is Robbie just facing her own insecurities, you guys.
That's right. This is all my fault.
It's nice.
It's okay.
It's not anybody's
fault.
We're
just
just
me not wanting to draw this.
Yeah, we're just dissecting the artistic moment that's happening right here.
This was a lot of jibber-jabber about...
I disagree. I feel like we had the opportunity to show some really important aspects of how creativity works that wouldn't have happened if you had just drawn something sort of fun and goofy. So I'm glad that we've had this opportunity.
Good.
We're going to say goodbye to this show.
There's a long discussion that's happening over here about crying diamond tears and whether it's true or not. I did see that one of the sources cited was the Daily Mail.
Whether what is true or not.
Whether there's a condition of crying diamonds.
No. Diamonds have to be produced under extraordinary pressure deep inside the earth.
Now we've got shards of crystals, which is different.
That's
Diamonds are different from crystals.
Very different, yes.
That said, the Daily Mail, not entirely a reliable source.
You heard it here, folks.
There's also a video, so...
Okay.
Sometimes videos help.
I am not going to... Here's the other thing. Don't weigh in on something unless you have the facts. Don't go supporting some opinion.
Oh, I do that all the time.
Yeah. Make sure that you know. Make sure that when you put your word behind something that you've done your research so that you remain a credible source.
Right.
Okay?
You don't want to be citing a bunch of not true things and then everybody stops believing you because they're like, they just say whatever.
We are getting a request from our friend Shakti.
Yes.
To keep going. We're going to keep going on a different stream.
Yes.
Do you know how to find us? Go to the YouTube, go to the Robbie and Matthew channel, and click on the stream that starts at 1:30.
Yes.
Okay? It'll say Real McCoys or Wonder Undercover.
And we'll all be going over there immediately.
We're going there right now.
Yes.
You get 30 more minutes of this nonsense. Okay?
Kylie, you didn't miss anything. There was so much chit-chat. Just drink your water and meet us over there in a minute.
Okay, we'll see you.
And we will end the show.
Kylie, you can always go watch this show. We're going to store it. You can watch it later.
All right. Bye, guys.
Goodbye.
Oh. Did I not push the button?
Goodbye.